So I'm going to show you how to create an embedded Zoho view within Weebly. So what I've got here is a Weebly sandbox, just basically a simple website that just contains a page. And eventually we're going to put the Zoho elements in here. But right now I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave that alone. What I really want to do is focus first on creating the Zoho database itself. I'm going to eventually drop in here. So I've created a Zoho account, and I already have a couple of different applications on here. If you don't, then you are most likely going to get initially this screen right here, or something looks similar to that. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a new application from scratch. Now you're going to have to give it a name. It doesn't matter what you give it. Right now I would give it something that is simple, like Sandbox, or if you like IS 1500 Sandbox, because you don't want to mess around with your regular application. So this is just something you can use to try things out on. So once the application's been created, you then get automatically an initial form. You got to give the form a title of some sort. Let's just call it brokers, like this. And what I'd like to build is a form that collects data about our yacht brokers, the names of the brokers, maybe experience, any type of memberships they have, maybe phone numbers, email addresses, and so on. So what I'll do is I'll create a form with the various fields, and that automatically also creates a database. So to do that, you basically just pick the right elements. So I'm going to drag over here an element that lets me put in the broker name. Right. And, oh, sorry, I put that wrong here. That's brokers. Changed by mistake that. One of my changes is over here. So I got to click on that. And that's going to be brokers. There you go. That's better. I'm also going to store the email address. I'm going to drag an email field in here. So there's automatic validation. I'm going to click on it. Email is good, but I would like to have a colon afterwards. And you can select other things too. You can put in URLs for their website, an image for them. So for example, I can drag an image in here. That's going to be a picture of the broker's face or something, so you can recognize them. And there's a whole bunch of other things that you can put in here, as you can see. But that's all we want to do for now. Now there are some things you can change about each field. You notice, for example, here I'm going to got to fix that again. It's broker name. For example, you can check the mandatory checkbox so that you have to provide a broker name and an email address. For example, you might indicate that you don't allow for the broker name duplicates. So that means you can't enter the same broker twice. If you'd like, you can put initial value in there, maximum number of characters. And then you can, put a few other configuration values for each field. So different fields you can set up differently. You can also set up the form itself. For example, you can change the label placement to be, for example, right aligned. I like that. It looks a little bit better. You can tell her what to do upon entering something new. Now, we're actually not going to publish this on the website, so we don't have to worry about this. We're going to add our information through Zoho, and then in Weebly just access that information. But that's basically it. So now to get actual information into the database, I got to access the application. So now the form's running, and I can put a few people in here. So I'm going to put in here John Smith. Email address is smith@boatventures.net. Not going to pick a picture for that person. Submit it. Another person is Jane Wu. Our email address is jwu@yahoo.com. I'm just making this up. If you'd like, you can put a URL in here for a picture, or you can upload a picture from your computer to put in here. Again, I'm not going to put anything in here. But let me just stick an image in here, a URL here, just to show you what that looks like. So it was added to. That's basically it. We are done with this. So we can actually just, go back to editing or creating views if we like. Is other things we can do here. That's basically it in terms of adding data. So now we can click on report, and when you do that, you get actually a list of all the brokers you've previously entered, and you can navigate through them. So we entered 2, Jane Wu with a picture and John Smith with a picture. So that's what the report looks like. Now there's not really much you can change about this. You can, for example, change over here whether to view it as a summary or to view it as a grid. But that's basically it. There's not really much else you can change about this. Now, you do have the ability to modify this if you know programming, but we're going to leave it at this for now. Now, just to show you what you could do, you can go edit this report, and then you can, affect a few things here. For example, you can change column properties of how you want things to be displayed. You can determine how it should be sorted. If you'd like to put any kind of filters in here, you can add that. Permissions of who's supposed to be allowed, able to do things. For example, you want people to be able to add new brokers through that form, edit them, delete them, and so on. Typically, no, you want people to be able to do that. You want just to let them be allowed to view it. You can, put record summaries up. And then this is the actual code that's behind it. So like I said, we're not going to really modify too much here. You can change the report, as well if you'd like. Display properties, records per page, you can change. There's a few things you can update here if you'd like. All right. So for example, you can change this to calendar summary or grid, like we saw before. Fewer records per page, maybe an alignment. And that's essentially what you have available. Now to import this into your Weebly, what you got to do is you got to click on Access this application and run it. So now again, we're looking at the report, and then over here in the options menu, that wheel, you can click on links, and you can get your embed in your website link. And this is now going to give you down here your iframe. And you can put down what you want to be included in that view that you're going to publish. Do you want a header, for example? So we're not going to want a header. We're not going to want a record summary. We don't want paging. And we do want search, for example. Now notice also it says here to access the view without login, click here. You can't do that. If you were to click on it, I don't think it's going to work. We can try. But, like I said, the free version doesn't do that. So you're going to have to log in to view this. And then down here, we're just going to go ahead and click on it, copy it, Control-C. And then we're going to switch over to our Weebly sandbox. And we are going to now, scroll down to find our embed code, drag it in, and then paste our iframe in here. And that's now going to pull our form in here. Now notice we're going to have a little bit of control over that through Zoho, not Weebly, but through Zoho. Notice also you get a little custom footer down here. You can't remove that in the free version. And those add and search buttons appear because I'm logged in under the owner of that form. If I was a public login, I wouldn't get that in the published version if I were buying a subscription to Zoho. But that's essentially what we want you to do. So now you have a live running so let's see what the published version looks like. And here it is. Now I have a dynamic page. Now how do I get more data into this? Well, I can add it here, or I can go back to my Zoho form and add more data. So back in my Zoho form, on the Zoho, I can add additional records, either through the form or right here. So I'm going to also have, Martin Shuttleba. I'm going to add myself with my email address. So I've added to my database, and now watch what happens when you go to your page. Now, of course, I have to refresh the page. And it pulls the new person automatically from the database. So that's how you embed custom dynamic pages within Weebly.